It's the E.A.R. Chronicles. It's the E.A.R. Chronicles. I'm talking TV. I'm talking movies. I'm talking anime, cartoons, sci-fi, and fantasy. It's the E.A.R. Chronicles. It's the E.A.R. Chronicles.
What's up, ear hustlers? Welcome back to another episode of the Ear Chronicles with your host, Eric. That is me, that is I. And this is the place where I'm going to talk about all the TV shows and movies and give my opinions because I like them. Episode 7. Y'all know why we're here. Agatha All Along, episode 7. I'm so excited to get into it. This episode, y'all. My heart was snatched out of my chest. But it was so good. Like, this is literally probably one of the best episodes in Marvel television. That is my opinion. I'm sticking to it. You cannot change my mind. You can try, you will fail. It was so good. And I would just like to go on the record that I was right. I predicted accurately some of those outbursts / premonitions that Lilia was having. We got confirmation / vindication on this episode. Okay. So let's just get into it. But before we get into it, before we go down this road to the E.A.R trial, make sure you subscribe to this channel if you're a fan of Agatha All Along, if you're a fan of me, if you found my videos because of a YouTube short, your friend told you about it, or you saw it in the hashtag, whatever it may be, however you found this channel, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Please subscribe, tell your friends, family who also may be interested in this type of content. Furthermore, make sure you like this video, comment, please comment. I want to hear y'all thoughts. This is supposed to be a community. I want to hear you. I want to hear what you got to say. Hear your thoughts on this show and recap / review, and share. That's it. Main thing, share it. Word of mouth makes things go around. So, Death's Hand in Mind is the title for this episode. Very aptly fitting, given what we got, right? But anyway, so we start off the episode seeing Lilia falling. And she has this grim look of shock and horror as she's falling in her Glinda the Good Witch's costume from the trial. And she's just falling and falling and falling. Then, they show us Billy and Agatha. They're back on the road, headed to the next trial. And she notices that Billy is trying to read her mind. And she's like, just ask me the questions that you want to ask. Don't be trying to read my mind because it ain't going to work. And he's like, I'm not trying to read your mind. You're trying to read our mind. So he just flats out asks her, where's Rio? Anything but that question is what she says. So, now she dodging a question about her ex-girlfriend. Sip that. So she ain't trying to talk about Rio. You want to ask about Rio? Don't ask her. Call Colette. Find somebody else. Call the operator. Because she ain't fit to tell you. And then he asked about Wanda. Well, before he asked about Wanda, Agatha was like, she was my ex best friend, your mom. I was your babysitter, And he said, that's not my mom. Who? Not Wanda ain't your mama. And she took across this multiverse for you? And you not claiming her? Come on, Billy. But I think that's that William in him, that William spirit and jumped out, that William Kaplan in him. That's the William Kaplan because he said, I have a mom. Okay. And I think that's heavily connected to Lilia's reading when she said, your lifeline is broken in two. So he may be in William Kaplan's body. Billy's soul is in William Kaplan's body. However, I think there's some remnants of William because he's like, I have a mom. already. I don't need another one. And so we'll find out maybe at the end of this who he really is. And then he says, well, asks her, is Wanda really dead? Did you see a body? And she's like, yeah, I saw one. Who else saw it? I don't know. So the fact that they're even asking these questions here lets us know that we're going to get Wanda somewhere. It may not be here on the Witch's Road. It may not be in Agatha All Along, but Wanda shall return. Note that the Scarlet Witch is not dead. And even if she is, she shall not stay that way. And Agatha tells him, this is like one of those funny quips. She says, if you want straight answers, ask a straight lady. Oh, I love it. I love it. And then they see the big old castle, right? And she's like, ooh, oh my God, like, this is different. They both are kind of like perplexed and like, oh. But then Billy tells her, I'm starting to question if you've ever been on the road, because she tried to give some more advice and he was like, vague advice. And I'm starting to believe that you never were here. You know, I thought I needed you, but I don't, because you don't know what you're doing. Have I not speculated from the early beginnings that she does not know what she's doing? She's flying by the seat of her pants. She's playing this by ear. She ain't ever been here. She let them people think she been there to boost her representation, her reputation. She don't know about no road. She ain't never been there. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. So after that, they get to the trial. They walk through the door. We have Agatha dressed as the Wicked Witch of the West from The Wizard of Oz. We have Billy as Maleficent. And they start the trial. Billy picks up a deck of cards. So, oh, it's Tara. We gotta read. We gotta do a reading. Let's get it started. Well, he always starting the trial, like we talked about before. So he picks up the deck of cards. The time starts to fall from the hourglass starts to fall. The sand starts to fall. And so we know the trial has begun. And so Billy starts it. He's trying to read Agatha. He clearly don't know what he's doing. And he's like, no, I got it. I know a little bit. And as he says the wrong card and puts it in the space, swords start to fall while he's doing the reading. And some little background, if you didn't know, Jack Schaefer, I want to say that's her name, bless her heart. Jack something, the one who's over this show, she informed us, the audience, that these swords, that wasn't CGI. That was real. The swords were real, y'all. They had markings in places for where the sword and on strings for them to drop. Not around me. I don't care how much you paying me. Don't be dropping no real swords around my head. Absolutely not. But that's what they was doing. So kudos. Talked about this earlier as well in the season, how they did everything for the show that was practical. This was the cheapest show they have made. They did everything practical. No, hardly any CGI. And I mean, they are crushing it, but don't be crushing me with no swords. Now I love my life. Not enough to risk it for the biscuit, but it worked out for them. So kudos to them. But then Agatha snatches the card. She, give it. She don't know what you're talking about. This terror stuff, she don't believe in that. I don't believe in all that. This is all, there's no skill involved. There's no magic involved. This is all a con. In reality, I can't talk about it in the show. The show is real, but I mean, people do terror in real life, right? And I'm not for the terror in real life, but it low-key be a con out here. I mean, it's real. Magic, I do believe magic to be real. Let me just say, I know magic to be real. In real life, yes, you're hearing it. If you didn't know that, I know magic to be real. Is it the blasts coming out of the hand like Alice? No. But magic is very much real. If you want to know about that, get in the comments and we can have a conversation and we can talk about it. Or DM me on one of my own personal social media chats and we can talk about why I know or how I know magic to be real. Anyway, so she starts to deal out the cards and she starts just slamming cards on the table, just and swords are falling left and right and left and right and right and left and dot, dot, dot. And she's like, we're gonna just do it till we get the right combination. That's all we need. Just figure it out. It's gonna take too much time, is what Billy says. I wish Lilia was here. And just like that, they flip to where Lilia and Jen are, right? They're underground. And then they start to connect some of those outbursts that Lilia had. Um, after she's talking to Jen, because clearly her and Jen had some kind of heart to heart that we have not seen, but apparently it was pretty lucid because she tells Jen that Billy or slash team kicked them off the road. She was like, no, this is Jen. No, the son of the Scarlet Witch kicked us off the road. She's like, how do you know that? Because you told me, Lilia. You told me this already, girl. What you talking about? And so that's when she kind of starts to talk about how she's those gaps that she's had all of her life. And so they start putting them together, which the first one being, you know, how they did the which one was the first one? I just know they did the Alice, don't try to save Agatha. They put those together. I was vindicated because people were telling me, they were telling me that I was wrong. They told me I was wrong, and I was not wrong. I was right. I was right. So shout out to me because clearly I'm the Yellow Witch. Clearly I should have been in the Coven because I saw these things. Mother Lilia taught me. I am the new Yellow Witch. Thank you very much. That's so Eric. I called it. I know what I'm saying. So that was one of the bigger ones. And then they also did the one when she was at the fireside. They were at the campside fire. There we go. And she was like, at first we hate each other, but now I love you guys. They put that one together for us, right? And so they're starting to connect some of these pieces that we were all kind of missing or they were sporadic and really didn't know how they were connected. And then they show us Lilia as her younger self in front of her maestra. And her maestra tells us, were you visiting again? Visiting. So this lets us know that this is a reoccurring thing where her projected consciousness, is it her consciousness, y'all? I believe, or her soul, something is projecting into different points in her lifetime where she mentions and explains to Jen these gaps that she's having, which she says that the flows of time is an illusion and that she's experienced her entire life out of sequence. So that's the one. Here it is. Because I was like, what is the other one that happened before Alice Don't? It was when Jen was like, are you wispy? And then they shows us, which one is it? Am I wispy or am I cookie? So she said that in the fire trial, but she really doesn't say it till when she's right in front of Jen right now. So that was an example of how she experienced her life out of sequence. And so after she's explaining to her this, we get a flash. Agatha's on top of her. She's like, girl, what are you doing? Move. And she reaches out and she confronts Billy. She snatches him up. She's like, you teenager. And here go Jen. Not the full name, not the government name, not teenager. And she's like, I'm mad at you. And he's trying to explain, Lily, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. If I had known, I wouldn't have this and that and this and that. And she's like, you're reading my mind. Because he was like, it's not your fault. Something like that. And Jen goes and like grabs her. And she's like, listen, snap out of it, girl. You're not really mad at him anymore. You've already been mad. Remember, the time flow is an illusion. You're not mad at him. Trust me, girl. You're over it. And so she snaps her back. And then we get a whole nother sequence with them explaining this flow of time and how it's an illusion stuff, right? Lilia Billy asks her about the sigil. And so she explains why she put the sigil on him. And she's like, I saw what was going to happen to you. and I knew you would need more time. And I was like, oh, I felt something in that moment. And then we go back to the maestra. So she did the sigil to protect him because she said she also saw what would happen to him and who he would become. And she knew he would need more time. More time to do what? Grow into it, figure out who he is, whatever that means. Well, whatever that means. The Nene Leaks. Whatever that means. Then we get to back to Maestra and Lilia, older version this time. And she's talking about how she was fearful of her powers and how she wasn't connected to her powers at all. And her Maestra tells us, oh, yeah, the fear I see. Because she asked her, why are you here? And Lilia doesn't really have an answer. And she was like, I don't want to see this. I don't want to have anything to do with this. But she tells her, don't try to control anything. Your object, that your purpose is not to control, is to just see. That's what her maestra is trying to tell her. Then we get flashback to them underground. Lilia finds Billy's spell book in the dirt. And Lilia explains to Jen that she stopped using her powers because all she saw was death. And she didn't want anything to do with that. Right? And that's understandable. Every time I looked into the future or I saw my life was out of sequence, and every time something appeared, it was people dying and stuff. I don't want no parts of it. None. Zilch. Leave me be. And so she explains all of that to them. Well, we see that sequence being explained. So this episode, it was hard. It's such a good episode because you have to visually see what I'm talking about sometimes. So like I'm explaining this, but as I'm seeing it in my mind, I'm like, but is it gonna make sense? Because I'm trying to flip when they flip. But there's so much happening. There's so much dialogue that happens in the flip. I obviously can't capture all of that dialogue. So I'm trying to condense it where it makes sense. So I apologize if it's confusing because this episode, it's not a confusing episode when you're watching it because you can see it happening. So it may be more confusing listening to it. So obviously you need to go back and watch it so you can really understand what's going on with how they're flipping and flopping between time and connecting Lilia's gaps with the cinematography and the storytelling, which was beautifully done. And so then Lilia gets there. So she's at the trial, right? And we see in real time because all of that, I'm assuming the original confrontation with Billy, that was another out of place sequence because we get to the part where she's down there with Jen, right? And they're like, we got to get to the bookshelf. And once we get to the bookshelf, we can get to the trial because we know that the trial has started. This is Jen and Lilia underground. So they start the trial. She begins the readings. And she's reading for Billy. And she calls him the querent. And he's talking about the querent. I can't. The jokes are great. They fit them in so perfectly. So she's reading for Billy. And she says you have to ask questions. You have to do that in order. And it has to be connected to your purpose on earth. And so he asks, am I Billy? Well, Agatha, what does she say? How did we get out of here? But then Billy says or asks, am I Billy or am I William? She said, oh, that's a great question. She sits down. She starts explaining. There's the traveler. That's the first person. That's whoever is doing the thing, who it's about, who the reading is about. Then she explains all the different parts. So what's missing, the path behind, the path ahead, obstacles, the windfall, and then the destination. And each of those are connected to that individual that's being read. And so she starts reading Billy. She pulls out the magician. She pulls out the sun and all these things. But the swords are still falling, y'all. For whatever reason, this ain't working. And clearly, after she explains it, because they were all like, girl, this tarot stuff ain't real. Agatha mostly. And after she explains everything, she's like, what? No snide remarks? Get them, Lilia. Don't let them play on your top, queen. Do not let them do that to you. Tell them you know what you're talking about. But like I said, the swords are still falling. Something still ain't right. But then we get another flash of time. Back, time is flowing in and out. And so we're back with Maestra. And Maestra asks, why are you here? And she's like, oh, here, meaning on the road, to get my power back. And she was like, no, has your power, is it gone? Or have you just not tapped into it because you're afraid? And so she's like, I need to get it back. She said, well, remember yourself. And she says to her maestra, for what's the point? All this death. I saw the death for my original coven. I couldn't save y'all. So why are you saying this like it's a comfort? Knowing that she was like, oh, death is it's nothing. Death comes for us all. And she's like, you say it's a comfort. And her maestro was like, just accept it. Pretty much telling her, accept who you are, girl. Open up your eyes and see. And see. And so it was a clicking moment because after that conversation, that Lily was like, I was falling. I will fall. And her master was like, okay, come on, girl. You starting it, you getting there. What else? What else? And then it flashes us back to Lilia with Jen. When she first sees all of this, she stares into the teacup, right? Because she said she wasn't good at that. And her teacher was like, girl, no, you just chose not to be. So she looks into the teacup. We wake up with Jen. She downloads Jen with all the information about Teen telepathically knocking them off the road, which was really Billy, who's the son of the Scarlet Witch, and that the new trial had started with Agatha and Billy. They needed to get there. It was terror. And that they needed to follow the winding road to the bookshelf in order to get there, right? And then we see the Salems. There's two paths, right? One that apparently could lead to off the Witch's Road, to then the other one that leads towards the trial. The Salem 7 appear, they hide, and Jen is obviously debating on getting off the road because I don't know, she like, I done had enough of this. I can't stand this. I don't want no parts of this no more. And Lily was like, Jen, I hope you will join me. You're my sister in the craft. This moment, all of this. Because you know they was bumping heads throughout this whole season. But for her to say that, it was really, truly special. Also, one of the things, too, another of the premonitions. So when Lilia was getting them wrong, the sword started falling, and we see that Agatha had grabbed her and jumped on top of her, and that led us to the "get off me" one, right? And then he also showed the one where she was, this the first time. They connected those together. Just brilliantly done, y'all. I need y'all to go back and see it so y'all can see it rather than just hear me say it. And then, so like I said, fast forward, Lilia realizes what she did wrong. She's like, I know what I did wrong. I'm the traveler. I'm reading for myself. And so she starts to eat, y'all. I mean, she starts eating down with the readers, y'all. She starts reading herself. And she harnesses her power. And she shuffles, cuts the deck. And she's calling out the cards before she even flip it over. So the first card, she has the Traveler, the Queen of Cups. This means intuitive. Her inner voice is to be trusted. Next, she puts out the card. She calls it, what's missing? 3 of Pentacles, flips it over. And as they're showing us this, as she's calling them out, they're going back through the season when she was calling out these different cards, right? So the Queen of Cups is her younger self. She sees the vision of her younger self. That's the Queen of Cups. 3 of Pentacles. She said that when she started writing down the Coven, and she saw that on the paper that she was writing on, and that stood for, that was what was missing. So singing voices waiting to harmonize, and she said, I needed you, I coveted. Oh, I would have played y'all the clip because it hits harder when you hear it, but I ain't trying to get copyrighted, and I don't know how to do audios and videos inside of a video and not get copyrighted. So I don't have time for that. So I just gotta go based off what I got in my notes, and you're gonna take it or leave it. And then there's the path behind, which was the Knight of Wands, which we see it was Alice, and fiery and brave is what that one meant. The path ahead, High Priestess. Jennifer is the High Priestess. That's what she saw. She saw Jennifer, saw the light behind Jennifer. High Priestess stood for a being with immense spiritual power, whether they could tap into it or refuse to tap, unwilling or unable to tap into it. Then it was the obstacles, which was the Three of Swords, which meant sorrow and grief, which she saw the tree branches around Agatha. Then there's the Windfall, which was the Tower reverse, which she saw when she did the reading for Billy at his bar mitzvah. And the Tower typically stands for destruction, disaster, and upheaval. But since it's reversed, it meant transformation and miraculous transformation and positivity. And then there's the destination, which then they flow us back to the moment when they fell into the hole initially, and Rio appears as the original Green Witch, Death. So we finally get the Rio as Lady Death reveal. They take us back to the trial where she holds the death card, again, calls it out before she even pulled it. She was moving too slow because they was rushing her because she was taking her time, but she was eating. Agatha snatched the card out of her hand, slams it on things, stops the swords. The trial is complete. And as they're finishing, the thing of swords, the ceiling of swords flies back up. And then she explains or tries to warn them. She says, Rio is Death, the original Green Witch. And they looking at Agatha, girl, is that true? You knew this? It's what I gotta say, I like the bad boys. And so she's like, and then the door opens. The Iron Maiden door opens. She's like, hurry, get through. We gotta get through. Because the Salem 7 start to come. And so she warns Agatha before she goes, when she calls you a coward, hit the deck. Now get in here. She hands Billy back his spell book. How did you magic? Pushes him through. She waits. She gets ready to put Jen through, and Jen's like, I'm not going before you. She says, you're the path ahead, Jennifer. And she pushes her in. And this moment was really powerful because if we go back, y'all remember in Jen's trial, at the end of Jen's trial, she knocked Lilia out the way like she was an NFL linebacker to get through that oven first. To now telling Lilia, I'm not going before you. The growth, that's growth. I love seeing the development in their relationship and her character. And it was just a beautiful moment. And then Lilia closes it. I love being a witch. And she closes them in, shuts the door, and she deals with the Salem 7. So she started talking bad down to them too. They start coming, and she's like, you may not know this about the road, but when you complete a trial, just like I did, it's not a good thing to hang around. Otherwise it's accompanied with bad things start to happen, like destruction, disaster, upheaval. Like the tower upright. She flips the card over. There was a tower reverse and turns it upright. Gravity flips off. And they all start to float to the air. The ceiling is flipped around. And the Salem 7 are all impaled on the swords. Lilia's hand, she's floating. She lets go. She's falling towards the swords as well. But she's this time, instead of with horror on her face, she's falling with a little more grace, with acceptance that this is her time. And that's pretty much how they ended on this episode. But then they flow us back to Lilia as a child, and her master says, let us begin. And that is the end of the recap, y'all. I'm definitely giving this episode, from me, 9.5 out of 10. I mean, excellent job. Like I said, the storytelling was perfection. The cinematography, I don't even know really what that be. I don't know what that really be. What am I trying to say? I don't really know what cinematography really means when it comes to this. I just heard people saying it, and I know it has to do with visuals. I think. They were great. I'm just gonna say everything about this episode was great. I loved it. I truly enjoyed seeing Lilia own her power. It was so good to see her take control and just eat down with it. Like, yes, I'm the divination witch. Okay, I'm the yellow witch. I know I'm here to show y'all what I'm all about. And the only thing for me that I would have liked to see that I took away 0.5, instead of her just turning that tower upside down, because I would have tried to turn it back up. Y'all have to kill me. I would have loved to see her get some actual power and start to fight them off, or at least do that, do a little something before she flipped the tower up. I would have liked to see a little more of that, because she was talking bad down, like, when you complete the trial, like I just did, I got a little extra boost of power that I can reach my full power. Because I forgot to mention, when she was speaking to Jen on the road underground, she was telling Jen that she felt like, well, the gaps kept coming to her more frequently because she feels like she's coming to the end. And Jen was like, to the end of the road, like your full power is coming back. And she was like, I don't know, maybe my end. And so since her end was coming, I really wish, and she had finally tapped into her power, I wish we could have saw some more. I don't even know if Lilia has blast powers. But I would have liked to see some yellow beams being shot before, we turned the car over and sent them all flying into the air to be impaled by the swords. So 9.5 out of 10, 100% recommend. And lastly, of course, I got to give in some theories that I may have, or some hypotheses that are out there, some questions that the fans have. So a lot of people are asking, did the 7 all die? Because we only seen 5 bodies get stabbed, and there's mentions of 2 of the 7 that had flying creatures that they could turn into. So like one was a bird, another was like a fly or something, some kind of flying insect. So it's like, if I had that, I would probably turn into that too before I got stabbed. So 2 of the Salem 7 could very well much still be alive, but 5 of them suckers are gone, dead. So shout out to Lilia. I will also say, falling to her death was very reminiscent of Rhaenys from House of the Dragon. Why y'all keep taking our queens this way? Falling to their death after saving somebody or something, or for a cause. They went out as heroes, as the queens that they are. And I love them for it. We're sad, of course, but we love them for their sacrifice, because of them, others were able to live. And in this case, the rest of the coven can finish the road. But then also, my last question is, what does the ending mean for Lilia? A lot of people are questioning what that meant. And so, like I said, we are we are transported. That's the word I'm looking for. Back to her being a child and beginning her lesson. So I'm suspecting that it just means that Lilia finally owned her power. So as a kid, she will be able to live her life in sequence now, without all the extra, and she's going to own all of it. I don't think it changes anything. I don't think her future changes, that she knows what's going on, because remember, her purpose is not to control, it's just to see. And so she's seeing all of these things. And so I think throughout her life will be much more pleasant leading up to how she ends, because she'll see everything, but she won't be upset and distraught and depressed and feel like she needed to rather be a hermit and a fraud than to lose her coven and all of those things and be treated differently because all she saw was death. So I believe that she has control now, and that she'll be able to live her life the way she was meant to live it the first time around. No pun intended on, I hated this the first time. I'm sure she hated the life the first time. Well, she did, because she shut off her powers because of it. So I think this time she'll live life with her powers, but she'll accept everything the way it's supposed to be and how it's going to be. So that's all I got for y'all. I appreciate you for sticking around. If you made it this far, please, before I go, make sure you subscribe. It means a lot to me for those who have subscribed so recently. Truly means a lot. Again, please also like, click share, and comment because I want to hear your thoughts as well. But as always, this is the E.A.R Chronicles, and this is your host, Eric. And this is the place where you're going to hear my thoughts and opinions on TV shows and movies I like. Until next time, it's the finale, y'all. Oh my God, we got what episode? A 2-hour finale. This is for a 2-hour finale. So it's 2 episodes, but 1 finale. So episode 8 and 9, but at one time. Oh my God. I am so excited, but I'm distraught a little bit because I'm not ready for the road to end. This has been a journey, but it's been a great one. And I'm thankful for those who took this journey with me. I don't know what color y'all are in terms of the witch that you are, but apparently I'm the yellow one. That's not what I would have chosen for myself because I want something that can blast. So I'm gonna be the one that can blast. So which one of y'all? Tell me. I would like to know which one you would want to be. If you don't know which one you are. Is there a test? I'm sure there's a test where you can look it up. Which on the road am I? Because they always have like those little tests where you could choose, like how they have which element can I be in, which mutant am I, which whatever. So I'm sure there's a little test on one of these little articles, but not BuzzFeed. Somebody else do them. I don't know. Somebody do them. But anyway, thank y'all so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. I hope you all have a wonderful night. Well, this is nighttime that I'm recording this, but so probably won't be nighttime when you see it. But regardless, have a wonderful day, night, evening, wherever you are. And I will be back to cover the finale. And hopefully tomorrow I get to start my coverage of Superman and Lois. There's already 4 episodes. It'll probably be 5 when I get done. When I actually get to do it. So I will just have to merge those in. And then after I do the big merged one, I'll start doing episode by episode. Since Agatha will be going, I'm gonna miss it. But thank you all so much, y'all. I will see you next week. Next week. Why can't I ever talk? Oh my God. I'll see y'all next time. Bye.